Well, it's a great pleasure to welcome to the MyBroadband conference Dietlof Mare, who's the CEO of Vumatel. Dietlof, it's really good to see you. And firstly, I want to thank you as one of your customers for really keeping me connected through this entire time. I've had zero failure, so congratulations to you. I mean, my service provider is, well, you guys provide the connectivity, but it's been absolutely fantastic. So thank you for making sure that my work doesn't stop and gets interrupted.
Oh, thank you, Aki. Nice seeing you and always nice chatting to you. And I'm glad.
Well,
I mean, challenge for us, obviously, that's the service community over this COVID period. So I think all the FNOs had basically the same challenge, but I think we came to the party and I think we delivered quite well.
No, you absolutely did, and I think that it was the core of and the glue that's kind of kept much of the workplace and the workforce connected and working remotely, I guess. I mean, the significance of fiber in South Africa cannot be understated. I mean, if we go back, I shudder to think what we would have done if this pandemic had hit us 10 years ago. But the significance of fiber and the growth is enormous in South Africa, isn't it?
Aki, I agree fully. I think, listen, enough. I mean, if you look at the penetration in South Africa, we're still on about 20%, but at least the 20% covered. I think that was the critical thing, So if you look at the abundant access to data and what happened with this COVID and this pandemic and this disruption that came in, we believe distracted, So we saw people moving from businesses back to the home. We saw people moving from schools to the home. You saw people doing their entertainment. I mean, basically the lockdown life actually went into a house, So you did your entertainment, your social. I mean, people were ordering food into their homes. But the big thing is the businesses had to go on, So a lot of our business customers actually a lot of basically all their employees back home, and that's that abundant access to data, and I think fiber can give it, and I think that's proven the model to us, and I think if you look at the world, I mean, that's in any case where the trends are going. It's just the fast tracking this through the pandemic was absolutely the key thing, and there the challenge was on us, was on scalability, obviously, and then the quality. I mean, exactly what you were talking about. We had to make hard decisions on, listen, do we continue with rollout and deployment throughout this period, or do we hold back a little bit and focus more on the connectivity side? And I think us as Vuma did it. I think a lot of the other FNOs as well did it. So we stopped a little bit. So it took us a little bit back, or pushed us a little bit backwards on deployment of fiber and passing homes, but it actually was speed connectivity leg of it, and scalability there was critical. The challenge for us was, could our systems cope with the scalability side of it, and I think that's where will actually still be, disruptions aren't going to stop. Just continuing going forward, but really network wise, quality wise, connection wise, I think we supported the economy, firstly South Africa and the businesses, and I think that was fantastic.
Well, I mean, you mentioned the 20% penetration. I mean, we're at the tip of the iceberg over here, and we've got so much more work to do. And there's a hell of a responsibility lying on your shoulders and other major connectivity providers to reach the people that haven't been connected. And I mean, South Africa's connectivity goals to get to the rest of the 80% penetration that you talk about. I mean, that's a huge responsibility.
That I think is keeping me awake a little bit at night as well. I think that's the responsibility. We have to be better there, and if you look at the first barrier, that access to capital, I think you're seeing now a lot of FNOs getting access to a bit of capital, actually access to quite a lot of capital. So what we're seeing is we're seeing competition coming up, and I love competition because immediately this increases, just from a campaign point of view, people understand that. I mean, obviously, COVID assisted with that as well. People just need connectivity to their home. But the challenge for us is there. I still believe smart investment is critical. In a low penetrated country, fixed penetration, it's critical that we invest in the right areas. I can give you an example of one or two towns where there's 6 FNOs building networks at this point. And And I think if we do it more smart in a way, we can get to the 80% quicker, and I think that's critical. It's smart investment, it's quality investment, and it's absolutely getting to the places or the underserved areas where people don't have connectivity or access to abundant data or unlimited data.
Now, there's no doubt that there's a lot more competition in the fiber space. I mean, in terms of connectivity, fiber is one method. You're hearing about fixed LTE and lots of other different ones. I mean, 5G as well, it's just around the corner. But I think it's important to highlight the benefits and the advantages of fiber versus the other forms of connectivity.
So I think advantages, I see it as I see it a bit as a fiber being the foundation of connectivity. You look at, it doesn't matter if you connect a base station to a switch or if you, it's access connectivity. It's the foundation of actually the technology. So I see it as complementary totally. That's my view, and I think even if you look at the trends, what's happening overseas and internationally, that's it. I mean, fiber becomes the base of that technology, connectivity type of side of the business. So it's complementary for me. People today want to be connected. I think that's critical. So you want to be connected in your house, you want to be connected when you travel, and you want to be connected when you work. And it doesn't matter what technology, you can use mobile, you can use fixed at home, you can have a Wi-Fi solution. It's just people want to be connected. And I think that's the critical thing. And fiber gives you that foundation. Fiber is obviously the technology that enables that, and I think that's, if you ask me off the cuff, that's the biggest benefit, and that's where you see convergence happening across the world, because it's a complementary solution to basically giving people connectivity. Got the uncapped, unlimited abundance again that I always hit on. It's not built on a scarce resource like a spectrum or frequency. It gives you that access to abundance, and I think that's critical, because if you look at the usage per home going up, 2 years ago, homes were using basically 40 gigs. Today they're using 400 gigs on low band speed. So you're seeing how this is increasing over time, and this is going to double or triple in the next year, because you 7, 8, 10, 15 devices connected to within a house at this point. So it will just increase. I can't see that slowing down. And for us to compete and stay connected with the rest of the world, this is what we have to do. We have to stay leading edge on technology, and I believe fiber is the foundation of that.
Yeah. Dietlof, it was fascinating listening to you talking about that usage stats, compared to 2 years ago. I mean, traditionally you would have, fiber in your home and you'd be using it to watch movies, do a bit of work. Now with the pandemic, you've got, families doing a whole lot of things. You've got the parents working remotely, you've got YouTube running, you've got Netflix running, you've got kids, doing their studies online. I mean, it's extraordinary. I mean, that number that you touched on, 40 gigs, that usage statistic is extraordinary, how much it's gone up in this last year.
Yeah, and it's still climbing. If you look at your higher end market, speed market, I mean, it's even higher than that. People do everything today through a connection somewhere. So we're seeing that increasing definitely, and I think that's where I think fiber has got a bit of an advantage on any other technology. That's my first point. Yes. And we're not slowing down, but what we do see is where people a year ago, before COVID, was focusing on download speeds. Okay, what we're today seeing is that people are focusing as much on the upload speeds, because what's happening is exactly what me and you, what we're doing now is we communicating, we're doing our business through a connection up and down. So you're looking at the synchronous side of the business of the packages and the products that we give, and everything is moving to basically the same upload download speeds because of the way we communicate today. And I think we'll see some shifts in the product mixes, but on the usage side, you'll see huge shifts. What we saw through the pandemic as well was where your peak actually started from 6 o'clock at night till 10 o'clock was your peak. Yes. Today it's not. It starts 9 o'clock in the morning, it ramps up, and then it stays consistent for the whole day. It still peaks little bit at night, but your whole usage profile, your pattern changed. And that tells you that the behavior of people are totally changing. And that is quite interesting to see. And I think we have to look at that, obviously, and look at the customer behaviors. But necessity to have a stable connection at home, reliable, at a speed that we can basically guarantee in a way is absolutely critical, because it's a necessity today.
Yeah, it's so interesting you say that there's no more peak period. It's peak period all the time. I mean, that's how much usage is happening in the network. I just want to come back to the 20% penetration that you mentioned and the rollout. So looking at this situation in the country where you've got a tremendous amount of areas to cover and, get fiber to, millions of South Africans, where is Vuma focusing on rolling fiber in the future? Where does your timeline, what does your timeline look like?
So Aki, we connected, we passed 1 million homes at this point. So we closed the financial year on just over 1 million homes passed. We're planning to do another 500,000 this year. And I think about it, it took us 5 years to get to 1 million. We want 500,000 this year, so we're throwing huge money at it, and we're going to areas that need it, so we evaluate the areas, we look at specifics around the area, and then we build where we can, so it's really working with the municipalities, working with the communities, and seeing if there's a need. But on a penetration of 20%, basically South Africa is in need of it, so where it makes financial sense, we do it. We try not to obviously replicate networks. So if there's a network, we're not really going to replicate a network that's already in an existing place. I think that's the smart investment side of it. But I think it's critical that we just deploy the capital in the right places. We launched prepaid last year. I think we're one of the first prepaid fiber. We launched a product that you can recharge monthly, weekly. I think it's the first in the world, or very close to being first in the world. And I think that caters for a different segment, and that caters for a usage pattern type of scenario, and I think with innovation, with the customer experience that you have to do, because it totally changes, and with the technology that you deploy throughout South Africa, I think we can roll out anywhere, but we want to obviously cover 500,000 homes this year, which is a big task, and that's where the scalability comes in. I think our machine can do it, but it's absolutely building a quality network throughout South Africa. That's the key thing.
I'm sure the demand, you said 1 million homes in the first 5 years. This year it's 500,000 years. The demand must be extraordinary. If you had a magic wand and could connect everybody that wants fiber right now, I'm sure you've probably got millions of people who are wanting, fiber right now.
Yes, and that's at 20%. I think there's clearly about 8 million homes that we can cover. There's 19 million homes in South Africa if you look at the informal in any case. So I think that's the start of it. And I think, and obviously it's different technologies that you have to use. There's different models that we will have to use. But I think 5 years from now, Aki, we'll have this conversation, and I think we'll be close to a 70-80% penetration rate on homes. So. And nothing stops us from going to 100%. It's just a little bit more difficult when it becomes very informal. Some of the homes, but still, I think there's a lot of runway on this, and I must. This is a must. People need this for us to stay competitive with the rest of the world. This is critical. Just look at how schooling changes, and you've sat on a lot of presentations on COVID and disruption. This is not the first and only disruption we're going to see. No. This will occur now and then, So I think we must just be better prepared last time. 1 million homes were not good enough for Vuma. We should have been on 2 million homes. And I think also the older technologies are just not good enough anymore. And I think that we realized now, you can't work on a 7 meg service. You have to get to the 20, 30, 100 gig service. We've launched now, we're actually trialing now a 10 gig service on our network. And it's an overkill. A lot of people say to me, look, it's an overkill. Why are you doing a 10 gig service? It's only Singapore that's got a type of a similar service in the market. But we're doing that that, and the throughputs we're seeing on it is about 3.5 gigs on it. So it tells me immediately our network is capable to do a 10 gig service, and I can give you a 2.5 gig service at home at this point, and so not launching the 10 gig service for me. It's actually showing the South Africa that we can get through technology and building quality networks. We are building a future network.
Yeah.
Pushing very, very hard.
Well, it's interesting you say that, and can I put up my hand for this trial, please? But I'm using 200 up, 200 down through Cool Ideas and Vumatel being the fiber provider. And when I did do that, everybody thought, "What do you need so much bandwidth? You're crazy. You're never going to need it." Well, I can tell you now that when I look at what I have connected to my home, the smart devices, how I'm using it, and that need for, technology is hungry for bandwidth. And as you mentioned, 1 gig and 2.5 gigs, I thought, wow, I didn't know you had that service right now. I need to explore using that as well. But I guess that it's, the devices and the things that we're doing online is just going to drive that demand going forward. Now, you spoke about the challenges, and earlier you said there were like 6 fiber providers, digging in one area. That doesn't make any sense at all. But when you look at the hurdles that South Africa's fiber providers need to overcome, what are they? And I imagine that you spoke about capital as well. Cost is obviously an issue. Is cost still an issue? To lay fiber today versus 5 years ago, I imagine it's more expensive today.
Yeah, listen, cost is always an issue. And I think efficiencies there is critical. Right? So you have to have your own model. I think all the F&Os have got their own models and costing and efficiency models. So I honestly think you can get to a price point that makes sense. If you look at what's in the market at this point, as you go into a little bit of a lower income groups, and underserved areas, your model has to be tweaked a little bit, But I think so. Access to capital, really. I think that's going to be future as well. We can look at it today. I think there's quite a lot of capital in the industry at this point, which is good. But I think in future that might change a little bit. And if you look at our penetration versus where we have to go, we're going to need money. That's as simple as that. So I think access to capital will always be a challenge, my opinion. And then I think it's speed to rollout. So we're looking at the admin side of it, the municipalities, the wayleave leg of it, the admin around it, getting your subcontractors, the forums involved, the local communities part of the machine. I think that speed to market is always a challenge. It's really, and it doesn't matter where it sits. I think a lot of work has been done on the wayleave processes from municipalities. We're seeing that happen faster than a year ago. But then obviously you've got some other things where informal forums come up and they intimidate people and stop work here and there. Mm-hmm. And quality networks, it's listen, how do you maintain a quality network? That means how do we get away from service hits where somebody hits and digs up your fiber lines? I think that control, that's a challenge for us, and I think another one is really at the end of the day, the customer side of it. We've got an open access model, meaning we link up with all the ISPs giving the services on our network. But it's the service side. It's getting closer to that customer, making sure they're always connected. And I think that's going to be always a challenge for us.
And Dietlof, when you look at capacity, for example, the guys that connected 5 years ago, the speeds that they were paying at the time were probably 50 up, 50 down, and it's increased. We talk about those speeds you mentioned earlier. Is there still enough capacity in the ground if one of your traditional suburbs from 5 years ago decided to switch to 1 gig connectivity? Do you still have that capacity to do that?
Yeah, we got capacity, and that's one of the benefits of a fiber network as well. That gives you the ability to do that. So on that side, from a capacity point, it's not a scarce resource. It's a fiber, you can upgrade it, but it gives you the freedom of choice, and I think that's another benefit, that I didn't mention. It gives you that freedom, not just to move ISPs because it's an open access model, and I think that is a bigger thing that people think, bigger than people think, is the ability to move from ISP to ISP. That's the first thing, and the second thing is to move products. synchronous to synchronous, you know, going up or down. I think that is critical, and fiber gives you those options, you know, those flexible options.
Yeah. And my final question to you, I mean, we've been talking a little bit about trends, and I mean, what are the major trends that you've seen with regards to South Africa's broadband adoption? The trends must be astonishing. And I guess I'm not even sure if you've even quantified the economic changes that fiber brings to areas that get it. What kind of trends are you seeing, Dietlof?
So Aki, I think we were following a normal uptake curve, you know, which is basically your normal 30% within a year, you know. So it's home pass 30%. I think that was the standard model that we were the first fiber provider in any case, that but I think that was the norm then in time to get to a 30% uptake in a year. But we overshooting that. I mean, we've seen some areas on 87% uptake, you know. So there's obviously areas that's a little bit slow on adoption, but you got faster adoption areas now in some of the other suburbs, but the trend definitely increased hugely over the COVID period. So we saw, because we slowed down obviously the build side of it because of restrictions that we put on ourselves actually in a way, but we saw a huge uptake, an accelerated uptake in the first half and second half of last year. You know, are we not seeing that slowing down? So weird. I mean, I was expecting it also to slow down a little bit, but I'm not seeing that. I'm actually seeing this still continuing. Obviously, we're still in the COVID period, you know, so I think that's as well. But also showing you that, listen, people understand that abundant access to data is super critical if you want to function in an economy like we're functioning in today. If you want to function in the world today, that is critical.
Dietlof Mare, CEO of Vumatel, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you for joining us at the MyBroadband conference. And you've set yourselves big targets at Vumatel. The penetration has been amazing. You've changed many people's lives. 5 years to get to 1 million and your target of 500,000 this year. I wish you guys luck, and I hope to chat to you next year to say that we passed that 500,000 in 2021. We actually got to 600,000, and we're setting a target of 2 million for 2022. I hope that's the target, Dietlof. It's been wonderful chatting to you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Aki. Always. Thank you so much.